What's up, Reapers? Welcome back to the crypt. I'm gonna do a bit of a different kind of video today where I talk about singles and deep cuts when it comes to albums. For me, first of all, a single is usually what they put out uh, before the album actually drops, so you get a feel of what it's going to have, what it's gonna sound like. Um, there's also usually about 1 to 3, depending on what the band feels like, and then sometimes they'll put a little EP out with those singles out, and then the full album. Now, for me, I like a lot of singles. I'm gonna use Cannibal Corpse's uh, last album, since I know they're gonna release their new album soon. They had, I know Inhumane Harvest was one of them. I think Round Kill Devour was another one, and Murderous Rampage. I know for a fact that Murderous Rampage and Inhumane Harvest were two singles. I can't remember the third one right now. And they were singles, and for good reason. They were very catchy. They were very I don't know, like they were very memorable. But for me, a single would also be something that doesn't get boring, because if we take another album, one of the first death metal bands I ever got into, Aborted. Now I do not know the singles off this one. I will go ahead and say that. The very first Aborted song I ever heard was the title track off of this, and I feel like that's a popular song for a good reason. I don't know why I just opened, but then I listened to the whole album, and I liked songs like Bit by Bit and Hormageddon, and like even From Beyond the Grave, Forge for uh, Decrepitude, and like with Violence Unimagined. I liked Surround, Kill, Devour, Ritual Annihilation, Follow the Blood, and Over Torture. Now, I'll put singles in my playlist, but, like when Aborted released their album Mania Cult, Drag Me to Hell, I was worried I wouldn't like it. And at first I didn't, but then it grew on me. And then I listened to Dementophobia and shit like that. Their album Terror Vision. I know I'm using Aborted, but they've got a lot of albums, so it took me forever to enjoy that album. And if you don't remember which album it was this one. But then I was like, okay, and I ended up liking Vespertine Decay, Deep Red, and Horde over Macabre. Oh, it's that one right there. Um, and it was like, okay, so there's some deep cuts on there. For me, it seems like a lot of deep cuts get ignored, and I don't understand why. Because for me, a deep cut can be better than some of the hits. Like, I used to only really like the hit songs by Alice Cooper, but now it's like I'm obsessed with his song, God, what is it? Um, Snakebite, Love's a Loaded Gun, another thing, Brutal Planet. That album and that song especially is such a good song. And, it's pretty deep cut. And I would rather listen to that versus School Is Out for the millionth time. Shoot 'Em Down by Twisted Sister. So, and you might be wondering, why are you giving all these examples? Grandma, why do you care? Because I feel like a lot of people nowadays skip over those songs. And I'll admit, I'm guilty of it. I used to... For a while, I was obsessed with the ending of To the Hellfire when I finally got to listening to it. And then Sun Eater and all that. And those are good songs. But then I went and I listened to Flesh Coffin from Lorna Shore. Predating Will, when I don't think CJ was in the band at the time, if I remember correctly. So, very different vocalist, and I thought that was even better than some of the shit that they've done now. Because to me, nowadays, a lot of deathcore is just trying to rip off. I'm not even going to say Lorna Shore, it would be Infinite Annihilator clones. Because Infinite Annihilator was doing shit like that way before. And sure, people praised them, but now it's like, oh my god, look, Will Ramos is my daddy. Look, I'm jacking my hog. I'm cranking my hog to how Will Ramos can do that. And look, there's like 30 other dudes that can do it. Like, okay. Now it's just the same boring shit. And I know a lot of people think I'm not pleased. I'm pretty easy to please. Just don't do something that's been done to death. And that has now been done to death. No, I think the other two songs on that EP are fantastic. I think the Anna Return to Nothingness EP should have more recognition than just To the Hellfire, because you have Of the Abyss and the title track of this EP. So what I'm trying to say is, if you think songs or albums aren't worth listening to, listen to the whole thing and listen for anything that might be a deep cut or you think is an underrated song. Because I can guarantee you what you're gonna listen to is gonna be maybe miles better than the singles. Now singles, like I said, some are good. Like some of the aborted ones, especially Infinite Terror and the Cannibal Corpse ones. Especially for this album and their new album, are fun, but at the same time, when you hear it over and over and over again, I don't want to hate a band that, might be on my vest. Because it's not easy getting patches off. I know some people might be like, oh, it's easy to remove. I'd ask my dad for help on this one, and I mean, it's way worse for wear. Yeah, and, maybe, listen to other songs by the artist and then go back to the popular ones and then be like, oh, man, I kind of forgot how good this song is because I heard it so much that it's good. Now, I've done this in the past where I recommend an album and for me to do that is a very it's very difficult because I don't know what y'all have and have not heard, but I'm gonna do it. I reviewed this and I deleted that review. I might re-review it this weekend. It's the new Invicta, Triumph and Torment. I actually got this before it released, when I actually got to see them opening for Heathen a few months back. Great melodic death thrash. I would not be able to recommend one single track. I'm a big Invicta fan. I got a photo with the vocalist and drummer, and even Gabe of Raider, who was happy enough to take my photo with the vocalist. Really nice guys. Absolutely would recommend checking Invicta, Triumph, and Torment out. Definitely a high contender of this year. With that said, thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and as always, keep it grim.